Food security has taken a severe hit amid the pandemic. A huge chunk of the world's population is set to go without food this year. The United Nations has warned that at least 14 million people in Latin America could go hungry this year. Last year, that number was less than 3.5 million. More in this report.
In Latin America, signs of mounting hunger are already being felt. People are hanging red and white flags from their homes as a sign to ask for help. Many desperate people are even violating quarantines to go out in search of food. Latin America is one of the most vulnerable regions in the world to food insecurity. And COVID-19 has compounded its hunger problem multifold. The United Nations World Food Programme has revised its projections for how many people will go hungry on the continent this year. More than 14 million will lose access to food in 2020. The World Food Programme has estimated that the number of people who experience severe food insecurity could more than quadruple in 2020.
The COVID pandemic has just been devastating in Latin America. I mean, we were already dealing with economic deterioration and many different issues, but COVID has come on top of it. Just in the areas where WFP in this region alone, we've seen a substantial increase in over 11 million people that are marching toward the brink of starvation. So it's devastating, and it's why we must act. And we must act now so that we can bring some hope to people. Otherwise, you'll have political destabilization, mass migration, economic deterioration, supply chain disruption, and many people will starve in addition to COVID itself.
Most of the hungry in Latin America are workers in the informal sector. They make up a huge chunk of the continent's working population, and the huge majority of those going hungry this year are the newly poor who have lost their jobs because of the pandemic. Hundreds of thousands of them Venezuelan migrants living in the Andes and other drought-stricken Central American countries.
I lost my job because of the pandemic, and now I have to clean cars. I had never done it before, but to be able to feed my children, I have to do that.
The World Food Programme is calling on countries to expand their social safety net to include those who don't traditionally qualify for aid. While many governments and international organizations are stepping up efforts, they are being pegged back by logistical and economic problems. The pandemic has had a catastrophic effect on the region's economy. Latin America and the Caribbean are set to witness a 5.3% contraction in their economies in 2020. That would make it worse than the times of the Great Depression, and this comes on the back of 7 years of low growth averaging less than 0.5%. So these economies don't even have the leeway to borrow money freely like countries in Europe. Latin America's largest country, Brazil, meanwhile, is also the second worst hit by COVID-19 in the world. Cases are still rising fast in Mexico, Peru, Chile and other countries as well, especially in poor urban and remote rural communities.
It's a deadly combination, and we've got to act now, and we got to be smart, and we got to thread the needle. You can't just deal with COVID by itself or hunger by itself. They must be dealt with together. If we do it right, we can save lives. If we don't do it right, people will die.
An exponential increase in hunger can have far-reaching implications, from high levels of chronic child malnutrition to national security issues. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.